It's a lie, all of it. GDI wouldn't slaughter children.
Was Bialystok a Tiberium center?
Isn't this another incident of GDI reacting to incorrect information?
Any comment?
Should GDI funding be cut?
Nod forces severely damaged GDI base in your area. Critical shortage of weapons and manpower. Find GDI base and return it to operational status.
Okay, here we are. We're in Mission 5 of GDI. Our funding has been cut, and we've got to find a damaged, rebuilt base. The base is always to the right, so just head on straight over there. Do not be fooled by the fact that you've got tanks. They will be all you get in this mission in terms of heavy armor, and we'll be doing this mostly with APCs and engineers. APCs are a unit we saw in the last mission. They can carry 5 infantry, but they have to be loaded one at a time in this game. Players of Red Alert may remember that this mission, the APCs could load 5 men at once, in terms of you could queue it up so that it would load all 5 men. Unfortunately, in the original Command & Conquer, you have to do it one by one. It's a pain in the backside, but something we can manage. It's not like we have much else to do in this, given the state of our base. So, produce 1 APC so that you've got a full health APC, start loading it up with infantry, and then produce a Humvee. The Humvee is incredibly important. Not only is it going to give us a little bit of early scouting, but its primary purpose is it's going to pick up a money chest containing $2,000, which we'll use to continue our engineer production, ready for our assault. So as you can see, there is the crate of 2,000. That Humvee is more or less dead at this point. The AI behaves a bit weirdly. As you move units out, it tries to hunt those units down and takes some weird paths towards doing that, and then it gets distracted from its various attacks and tasks.
Construction complete. Building. Building. Unit ready.
So, with an APC full of engineers, we can start thinking about our first attack on the Nod base. Medium tanks are significantly stronger than light tanks, as you might expect, but as I've already mentioned, we only get 2 of them. And Nod has full tank production, so you have to be very careful with how you approach this level.
Construction complete. Building.
So, at this point, you want to remember which APC's got your engineers in it. But you want to stack up more APCs. Your main reason for doing this is the Nod base is going to be populated with units, and you want to provide almost a distraction while you get those engineers in there and capture the key structures, which is exactly what we're going to be doing.
Our base is under attack.
Nod will raid you with light tanks. Unfortunately, we have no means to actually repair our tanks, so you have to be careful with what engagements you take. But you can take engagements onto Nod buggies with next to no casualties. The tip field to the north is where Nod will eventually be gathering, so you can play the long game, train a bunch of units, and starve Nod for resources by waiting until their harvester has to go there, and having a large army ready to deal with it. I like to be sneakier and more underhanded, utilising APCs and infantry. But this strategy normally goes a lot cleaner than my execution of it for the sake of this video. There are elements of micromanagement that could have been done slightly better or slightly more effectively maybe, but you know, that's neither here nor there really.
Construction complete. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Moving out.
So you've got to be careful of rocket soldiers. At this difficulty, or this early on in the game, the enemy does not scatter its infantry when you try to run them over. In later levels it will start scattering, so that running them over with tanks is a lot less viable. They'll take a lot of damage. So I'm just control grouping the APCs to different groups so that I can send in my distraction wave first, and then the engineers, APCs, shortly after. You have to be careful, because even though you give a move order, if an APC hits something, it will stop and shoot it, and that can be a bit of a troublemaker. So we sell all the Nod productions, and the reason that we do that, production structures, and the reason that we do that is for the extra income. Now Nod are on a finite map, they can only have so many men. We can start to produce grenadiers and take the fight to the relevant Nod.
Construction complete. Unit ready. Unit ready. Building.
They are still able to harvest, but they cannot
Building.
produce any additional units. Every unit we kill now matters.
Ready and with Roger. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Reporting. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Reporting. You got it. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Yes, moving out. Yes, sir.
You have to be careful. As you can see, those little particles of the tank shots don't always collide with the exact spacing of the unit. Those particles will deal friendly fire. As I've already said, friendly fire is absolutely rife in this game. And because they'll deal friendly fire damage, you have to be very careful, because your tanks will actually not only be injured by the units that they're fighting, but other tanks as well. So, a couple of shots onto the harvester will pull more Nod tanks out of position, which is all I'm trying to do. Trying to get them to misstep, move out the way. And APCs full of grenadiers are going to be a wonderful way of causing some real chaos. This tank's going to kill one of my tanks. We'll have to be mindful of this other tank, which we're just going to get into a firefight with APCs. So the pathfinding in Command & Conquer has, or especially the original one, but in most of the games, has never been the world's most intelligent pathfinding. And to that end, you get these sort of windows where two units try to cross one of these one-tile bridges at the same time, and they both get stuck and just sort of have a staring contest. Now, when one of those units is a tank and one of those units is a harvester, it's quite clear who's going to win that right-of-way discussion.
Building. Construction complete.
So as I've already said, GDI have a mechanic. If you destroy all these SAM sites on a level, you gain access to the airstrike, and gaining access to the airstrike isn't particularly helpful in this level because of where the SAM sites are placed. You think we've already majorly crippled the Nod base.
Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
So all I'm trying to do is pull out the tanks, make sure that we're dealing with the tanks.
Unit lost.
And now, with the power of grenadiers,
Yes, sir. Moving out. Unit reporting. Reporting. Roger. Affirmative.
we have to be careful because they will get run over by a harvester.
Right away. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Moving out. Yes, sir.
So,
Affirmative.
now we can push into the Nod base and start to clean it out. If you wanted to be particularly efficient about how you do this level, you can, in fact, train more engineers, and with those extra engineers, capture those silos. Capturing silos actually transfers the funds that are stored within the silo. So when you see them a bright green like that, it means the silo is close to full, and you're guaranteed to get a transition of funds when you capture it.
Building.
Lots of people don't prioritize capturing silos because they're such a low value building, and they go, well, you're going to lose your engineer, but when you consider the transition of funds, it becomes very worth it.
Complete.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
So all that's left is to run around the map, finishing it off. We've taken control of all the Nod's key structures, we put the tanks out of position, we dealt with them, and now we just have to clean up the SAM sites. And that will conclude the mission, and that's enough talking from me.
Reporting.
Construction complete.
Affirmative. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Airstrike ready. Mission accomplished.